So therefore, what is the most likely outcome for inflation? Lower. Then the question is by how much? And that's when you start doing other work. So it's many people just look at the state of the world today and say, yeah, it's screwed. And they don't look forward to say, okay, what will it look like in 12 months' time?
In this recent interview on the Sean Kim Show with Raoul Pal, we learn about how exponential thinking is reshaping macro investing, the transformative power of building a strong community, and the unique entrepreneurial journey from founder to CEO through innovative capital raising. These topics challenge conventional wisdom and reveal fresh perspectives on future growth and success. Before we get into this discussion, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Now let's hear more from Raoul Pal.
I'm not a purposeful contrarian. Some people do that as a badge of honor. What I try and do is build an economic framework based around a lot of work that I do based around the business cycle, technical analysis, economic fundamental analysis, and then say to myself, okay, we know what the present state of the world is, but what is the probabilistic outcome of where it's going based on the facts that we know now? And that's what catches most people off. Most people don't join dots and look forwards. So the world of macro investing is a world where you live in the future and figure out what is the probability of the world going there. Sometimes there's a lot of probabilistic outcomes, and other times there's like two. It's pretty binary. So that is the key thing to learn, is to figure out what is the state of the world in 6 months or 12 months forward, not today. Or if you're looking at big secular trends, what is the trend in the next 10 years, not today's trend? For example, if you were to look at today's trends, you might say the Indian economy is sluggish and not that exciting, filled with bureaucracy. When you look at the secular trend, you say average age of 28, growing as one of the fastest growing economies in the world over time, low debt, and a massive Cambrian explosion in technology. So therefore, is that likely to be better in the future than it is today? And again, we'd ask ourselves questions with today. Is inflation going to be here forever, which is becoming the narrative? So what I tend to do is question market narratives. That's the contrarianism versus the work that I do. So I don't just question it for the sake of questioning it. I do it and say, well, for inflation to be here in a year's time, what would have to be true? We would have to see all prices continue to rise at 9% over the next year or two. Is that probable? Well, not if we have a recession.
As we just heard Raoul Pal discuss how thinking exponentially can redefine traditional investing, the critical role that a dedicated community plays in building lasting value, and his experience transitioning from founder to CEO by raising capital from within his own network. Now let's hear him expand further on how these strategies can shape the future of finance and business. Now, let's listen to what Raoul Pal has to say.
So I read a book called The Content Trap, and it kind of changed my life. It was basically along the idea of something I've talked about a lot, of the digitization of everything means that everything goes to zero in value. So everybody can now make a podcast or a video, right? 3 years ago, this was actually quite difficult to do. Now it's free. So everything goes in value, which goes to zero in value, which means you make more and more and more of it. So we get overabundance. So the value of something goes down. So I read the book about 3 years ago, and I kind of knew that to be true, but it made me think, okay, what is the moat? Are we just going to keep trying to build the best content ever? That's really hard, to have to endlessly be the leader. And I realized what we'd done was we'd actually built community, and that has a moat. Community at scale is difficult to do, and Real Vision has done it. So once I saw that, I saw the big unlock, which is, why don't we just over-service the community? So then I started doing the analysis. Who is the community? And what I did was actually I went to the Real Vision members and said, make me a video. I said, I know your demographics. You're on average 38 years old and you're this, that, this. I'm like, that means nothing. Tell me who the hell you are and why you use Real Vision. 300 videos came back. People shot on their iPhones. And the first one that came was from a scientist, a genetic scientist in a lab in South Korea. The next one came through from an astrophysicist at the world's biggest telescope in the Atacama Desert. A retired taxi driver, somebody who owned game parks across Africa, investment advisor, somebody in the oil and gas industry. I'm like, wow, okay, I've never seen a demographic like this before. And so we put together a word cloud of everything that they said to try and figure out what is motivating everybody. And the two words that came out from the middle of that cloud were knowledge and learning. And then we understood what we had. We had a community of the learning tribe. And so once we knew that, we could then think, how do we overservice them with incredible value? And that's why we launched, for example, the Real Vision Academy, because people wanted education. People wanted to be taken from beginner to expert. People want control of their financial lives. They want to have confidence in their kind of future vision of themselves. So that's what we realized we could do. And we had a moat, and the moat was community. And all we had to do was treat that community amazingly well. And part of that was the journey of Web3 as well, because Web3 is basically a community model at core. So it's like, it was so perfect for us. So that's what we've been heads down doing. It's very difficult for anybody else to do this because most people don't have the community and don't have the community of scale at Real Vision. And we're still not that big. But as we expand, you build a community, you create network effects. And if you create network effects, you can create Metcalfe's Law, which is an incredibly valuable network. So that's really what's on our minds. And I think people need to do that. Step outside of what you think you do as an entrepreneur and actually ask your customers why, what, how, and think, what is it that I do? Because as you said, it's very easy to set up businesses. It's very easy to have competition. How do you do something that doesn't allow too much competition or gives you a lead time? You know, our lead time originally was long form interviews. Everybody said this is ridiculous. Nobody's going to pay for interviews. It needs to be 3-minute sound bites because nobody's got an attention span. That was the narrative, the hypothesis of everybody. And our hypothesis was, well, actually, finance is valuable to people. Financial information is valuable because it's your financial well-being, and you will pay for that. And also, people want more than 3 minutes because they want to know more detail, more understanding, because it's important to them, because it's your financial life. That was our hypothesis, and that proved out. So, you know, we all have to do these kind of hypothesis testing to figure out what it is we're actually doing. The hard thing is living in both the present and the future. Because usually when you're running a business, the present is broken and the future is the optimistic part. Right. So you're always trying to fix everything now that doesn't work in the hope of going there. That dichotomy in your head at all times is really, really hard. It's soul destroying because all you can see is everything broken and periodic moments where everything's working magically. But you know where you want to get to and where you can get to. That is so hard. And the other founder to CEO is them people. You know, you hear this all the time. Managing people is not easy. And there's different ways different people approach it. I try and approach it via kind of vision and empathy. So getting people bought in on where you're going allows you to coalesce a large group of people at the same time to go in the same direction. And you need to be empathetic to them and their own personal story. But different people do it in different ways. You know, if I'd have been better at being process-driven, I would have put more processes in. You never realize that as a founder. You don't think about processes. They're like, oh, they're for other people.
Sounds so unsexy,
they're for airline
right?
pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fuck, if you don't put processes in, you've got a mess. And everybody goes through this. And then you realize you've got a mess and you try and figure out the mess and you fix things and you don't fix the processes that cause the mess. So there's so many lessons to learn. I mean, it's, you know, again, you hear this all the time. It's endless failure because you just don't know what you're doing. One of the most interesting comments that's come to me recently was, I don't know who told it to me or who wrote it, which was a first-time founder solves for product. A second-time founder solves for distribution. That's really profound. So anybody builds the second business doesn't go the product route first. It goes, how do I distribute this product to as many people as possible? Because building products is actually easier. And we're kind of repivoting Real Vision. We kind of refer to it as Real Vision 2.0 based around this one principle, which is if you solve for community, you can build the product with them. It's a much easier, a much higher probability of success than building a product and launching it and hoping it works. So, you've always got learnings as a CEO and a founder, but that's one of them. Is distribution is probably more important than product.
To watch the full interview, check out the link in the description. Today's conversation has highlighted the disruptive potential of exponential thinking in macro investing, the unmatched strength of community in driving success, and the vital process of transitioning from founder to CEO while raising capital innovatively. We would love to hear your thoughts on some questions. Do you believe that embracing exponential growth can overturn traditional investing models? And can a strong community truly redefine how businesses scale in today's digital age? Thank you for tuning in to Only the Savvy. If you enjoyed this discussion, please subscribe, like, and share our video for more engaging content exploring the innovative world of decentralized technologies. Thanks for watching. Help support this channel and receive exclusive offers from one of our partners located in the description. We'll see you on the next one.